I need a hospital.
You kidnapped me.
They'll never let you go. You're the key, Abby.
Ah! Can't breathe.
We should reinfect her.
No! They'll make you sick again, and then they'll leave you to die!
If the others knew you were here, tell them what to do. I thought you were dead. You don't stay. Not with us.
Tom was a hero yesterday.
They killed a man in cold blood.
I think you can survive without this, without me. Go ahead and try it.
Episode 1 of the new series of Survivors is really about taking us on from where we were before. If you think of the first series as kind of year 0, the second series is kind of year 1. It's about beginning to think about starting a new life. And it's about being human. This is a world now where a cough and a sneeze can kill you because you might not be able to get antibiotics. This is a world where being bitten by an insect can kill you because it might get infected. Nobody is safe at all. And the situation we have in episode 1 where a hospital collapses is very indicative of the kind of disaster that people might face because the infrastructure of the towns and cities will collapse. The truth is that the cities in particular would be uninhabitable within a year or two of this kind of disaster. They would be rife with disease, they'd be full of, I think, the worst kinds of human behaviour, and it's hard to imagine that people would carry on living in them. I think when Abby is taken away from the group, what you immediately see is the beginnings of a breakup within that unit. Abby is the moral centre of this story, of Survivors Series 1 and indeed Series 2. Without her, you can rapidly see the strains within the group beginning to become overwhelming. You have a very real tension between Greg and Tom, who are two very alpha male figures who can't stand each other. You've got all kinds of pressure between Tom and Anya, who have an attraction for each other, which is at this point still relatively underexplored, but which in future episodes we'll be looking at very closely. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong, and without somebody to be the kind of person who leads everybody through, just through the sheer example of their own moral strength, obviously the risk is that they will be torn apart completely. I'm sure if you're watching this episode attentively, episode 1 of the new series, you'll see that there is a strange scene involving a postcard being delivered to Greg. That postcard becomes enormously significant in terms of Greg being able to piece together the real story of what happened with the lab, the real story of what happened with the virus, and indeed perhaps the story of what happened to his family. In episode 1, we really set up a situation where Abby was lost. She's being experimented on in the lab in a very harrowing situation where the gang itself, the family, are beginning to break up, where Greg has ejected Tom, much to Anya's disgust. So everything is on the brink of collapse. What we see in episode 2 is the resolution of that. All through this series we have a loose collection of double episodes, and episode 2 is very much the sequel to episode 1 in that we see the results of all the decisions that are taken at the end of episode 1. We also see what happens to Abby. We obviously find out whether or not the group are reunited and whether Abby comes back to them. And obviously, even if she does come back to them, what kind of shape is she in? What has the lab actually done to her?